Hi, it's Stephanie again. I was just doing a science experiment. I was trying to smell. I have all these things in jars around my house, and I was trying to smell like what my jar of money smells like. There's just an odd smell, and so I was trying to, think what was making that smell. So I was checking out the things I have in jars. So I have a jar full of coins. It's very heavy, actually. And then, you see what that is? It's a jar of seashells. I'm trying to really make some observations and like, what does it smell like? And then I have these. These do smell. Ooh. They're pine cones. They don't smell very good. I didn't expect that. That was a surprising observation. And then I also I have some slime that I made. I made these a smell. Ooh, it smells like glue. I made this slime with glue, and then I have some others. And I thought, well, if I'm doing an experiment, I should probably wear what a scientist wears, right? So they wear gloves. Now these aren't necessarily gloves that scientists wear. These are my work gloves. Like if I'm working with some wood or in the garden even, right? So I have these protective, and these things are okay. They're not going to get on my hands. But you do science experiments. Sometimes you do things that, could get messy or could be dangerous. So you have to wear gloves. It's important. People with different jobs wear different things for the clothes. So scientists wear gloves, and then I wore this. This is a scientist. It's called a lab coat. It has lots of pockets to put your notes in, and it covers and protects your clothes. And then I wore these glasses because, one, they help me see, but also when you're doing science experiments, you want to have glasses on so that you don't get things in your eyes. Like when I opened up my seashells, I don't know if you can see. Let's try. Oh, you can. Do you see the salt or sand? So if I didn't have protective eyes, maybe when I opened it, it could have gotten in my eyes. So I'm glad to have protective eye gear, and that's what a scientist wears. I got all these ideas because I read one of my favorite books, and I'd like to read that for you. I'll just show you. I have these other slimes. This one, I'll just show you real quick. It's really fun. And this one does smell. It smells like green apple. Look at it. Do you see how it falls? It's interesting to make observations. So, is it move fast or slow? I would say slow. And we could observe what color it is. It's like a yellowy green. And how, the question, how does it move? It doesn't move up, it moves down. And what does it feel like? It feels cold in my hand. It has a little bubble. So how does it sound? Let's hear. Do you hear that squeak? Oh, I really like slime. It's kind of nice, like when you're on a computer, and to be able to play with slime while you're focusing or reading. But you know what gave me all these ideas is one of my favorite books. I'm going to move my things aside. That's what I'm going to read to you today. It's called Ada Twist, Scientist. And there she is right there. You see what she's wearing? Protective eye gear. And see her gloves. And look what she's doing. She's drawing. Oh, I covered up her brother. Her brother is kind of worried, right? If you have eyes like this, it means you're really worried, because she makes a lot of messes. She really wants to be a scientist. She's a young person. She wants to figure out a lot of things. She's very curious. Like, I was curious about what would each of these things smell like. I'm not curious about what those pine cones smell like, because I don't really like the way they smell. They smell like vinegar, and I'm not sure why. So maybe that is something I need to discover more. I'll do some more observations about why these Pine cones smell like vinegar. It's weird. But what I want to read to you is this book. I like the way that she found out she wanted to be a scientist and how her family helped her learn to be a scientist. Let's read it together, okay? Ah, look, there she is. She's very little here. Okay, here we go. Ada Marie said not a word till the day she turned 3. She bounced in her crib and looked all around, observing the world, but not making a sound. Let's see what happens. She learned how to climb and made her big break with a trail of chaos left in her wake. She ran through the day, chasing each sound in sight, and didn't slow down till she conked out at night. So she was very interested in things, and she was always busy. Ooh, her parents are so interested. Her parents were frazzled but tried not to freak as Ada grew bigger and still did not speak. Clearly, young Ada was a young Ada with lots in her head would have something to say when it ought to be said. Her parents are thinking. This book is a little big. I'm sorry. I'm having trouble holding it up for you. But I'm going to try my best, okay? And that's just what happened when Ada turned 3. She tore through the house on a fact-finding spree and climbed up the clock just as high as she could. Her parents yelled, "Stop!" as all good parents would. Ada's chin quivered, but she did not cry. She took a deep breath and she simply asked, "Why?" She was asking, "Why should I stop?" She's very curious. Her brother was pointing. Her brother was very concerned, huh? I would be too. I'm going to take the cover off. I'll put it on later. Sometimes they fall off a little bit. Ooh. Here, I'll show you these pictures while it look. Why does it tick and why does it talk? Why don't we call it a granddaughter clock instead of a grandfather clock? Why are there pointy things stuck to a rose? Why are there hairs up on top of your nose? She started with why, then what, how, and when. By bedtime, she came back to why once again. She drifted to sleep as her dazed parents smile at the curious thoughts of their curious child who wanted to know what the world was about. They kissed her and whispered, "You'll figure it out." Curious. Curious means you want to know how, why, where, when, how things work. Her parents kept up with this high-flying kid. Look at this, she asking all the questions. Her parents are thinking. Her brother is a little curious. Oh, what is she holding? A turtle. I have a story about a turtle another day, I'll tell you. Whose questions and chaos both grew as she did. Oh, she's drawing all the planets. She's asking all the questions. She has a little kitty cat, too. Ooh, look at this. Even Miss Greer found her hands were quite full when young Ada's chaos wreaked havoc at school. But this much was clear about Miss Ada Twist. She had the traits of a great scientist. Have you seen that? Have you ever seen that experiment? You can ask an adult to find it for you. You take soda and then you put a mint in it. It's called a Mento, and it goes. So interesting. My dad is a scientist. He's a special kind of scientist called a chemist, and he used to do some interesting science experiments with us at home, like making slime, or if you took a wintergreen lifesaver and you broke it in the dark, it made a spark. Like, for real. But back to the book. Ada was busy that first day of spring, testing the sounds that made mockingbirds sing, when a horrible stench whacked her right in the nose. a pungent aroma that curled up her toes. "Zowie!" said Ada, which got her thinking. "What is the source of this terrible stinking? How does a nose know there's something to smell? And how does it stink if there's no nose to tell?" She rattled off questions and tapped her chin. She'd start at the start, where she ought to begin. A mystery, a riddle, a puzzle, a quest. This was the moment that Ada loved best. She was curious. Ooh. Ada did research to learn all she could of smelling and smells, both the stinky and good. One hypothesis Ada thought could be true. The terrible stink came from Dad's cabbage stew. She tested and tested, but soon Ada knew it was time to come up with hypothesis 2. A hypothesis is a guess. It's actually called an educated guess. So you make a guess based on doing some studying or some other observations. Oh, also, you know what I like about how she's making this observation? Look at what she put on her nose. Like a tube. She looks kind of like an elephant, huh? Yeah. Elephants have good memories, is what they say. Although I've never asked an elephant. Then zowie! The stink struck again, just like that. Hypothesis 2. It's caused by the cat. The cat couldn't make such a stink on its own. It needed perfume and some fancy cologne. So Ada tested, and the test was a flop. Uh-oh. Then she started again, but her parents said, "Stop!" What's she going to put the cat in? A dryer. Ooh, and it's a real live cat. That'd be really bad. Oh, goodness. Ada Marie, to the thinking chair now. By the time we count 3. "Enough," said the mother. "That's it," said the dad. Her parents were frazzled, frustrated, and mad. So she had to go to the thinking chair. Do you have a thinking chair? How do you think she feels? Maybe a little sad. She sat all alone by herself in the hall, and Ada, once more, could say nothing at all. I used to have a timeout chair. It was also like a thinking chair. Sometimes it made me sad. Sometimes it was just nice to be able to think through what I was feeling. And so Ada sat, and she sat, and she thought about science and Stu and the cat and how her experiments made such a mess. Does it have to be so? Is it part of success? Are messes a problem? And while she was thinking, what was the source of the terrible stinking, Ada Marie did what scientists do. She asked a small question, and then she asked 2. And each of those led her to 3 questions more, and some of those questions resulted in 4. And as Ada got thinking, she really dug in. She scribbled her questions and tapped on her chin. She started at why, then what, how, and when. At the end of the hall, she reached why once again. She did the thing that all scientists do. She starts with a question and then asks 2. To be a scientist, you don't have to know everything. You just need to know how to ask a question. And her parents calmed down, and they looked down the hallway in agog. They watched their young daughter and sighed. As they did. What could they do with this curious kid who wanted to know what the world was about? They smiled and whispered, "We'll figure it out." It's hard to be in a family. I mean, everyone can be so different even though you're in a family, right? Wow, look at this. I'm going to show you this picture. And that's what they did, because that's what you do when your kid has a passion and heart that is true. They remade their world. Now they're all in the act of helping young Ada sort fiction from fact. She asks lots of questions. How could she resist? It's all in the heart of a young scientist. Look at her. They helped her figure out how to set up a lab, which is a place where you can do experiments and keep your things and make notes. Okay, look at this great picture. Do you see her? Oh, there she is. And as for that smell, what can Ada Twist do but learn all she can with her friends in grade 2? Will they discover the stink that curls toes? Well, that is the question, and someday, who knows? So that is the book. Here's the cover. Ada Twist, Scientist. Do you think about what job you might want to have when you grow up? Maybe you want to be a scientist too. You like to ask questions. Maybe you want to be a zoologist and you want to be a scientist who studies animals. Maybe you want to be a doctor. Maybe you want to be an artist, or maybe you want to be a teacher or a librarian. And every one of those jobs wears something different to their work, right? Maybe you want to be a mechanic. Ooh, who knows all about cars? That's an important job. That's a really important job. So I like this book because it reminds me that you can be excited about any job at any time in your life, really. And then also thinking about, you don't have to know everything to start, right? Just one question, and that, even if it's a question about what is the smell that makes your toes curl. And she got her friends excited. Yeah. Anyway, I'm so glad that you are here to hear this book, Ada Twist, Scientist. And maybe you have some things at home that you can put in jars you can ask some adults in. I don't know why I smelled it again. It just smells so stinky. And maybe you can do a smelling experiment, or maybe a touch experiment, or maybe someone can help you make some slime, which could be really cool. And remember that we have the out-of-the-box worksheets on our website so that you can do some more activities, and the ones we have out right now are about the jobs that we have and we see in the neighborhood and what they wear to their jobs. And the next month we're going to have some about pets, and you can make observations about the pets in your home and in your neighborhood, and we're so glad that you joined us. And maybe you'll find some other books about jobs and what people wear to them. Maybe you'll just talk to the people in your house about the jobs that they have and what they wear to their jobs too. But I'm really glad that you chose to watch and read a book with me again. And if you find something that has a very interesting smell, you should write to us and tell us. Maybe even take a picture. These seashells still don't have a smell. All right, take care. Bye, friends.